Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy. We're here with Mari from Survivor Millennials versus Gen X.
Hi there.
Hi, Mari. Thanks for speaking with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So how were you chosen to be on Survivor?
Well, I suppose I was chosen because I was interesting enough. But I was originally on the show because my two friends that I work with, Jocelyn and Aaron from Clever, were on the last season for Amazing Race. And I was found by casting through their social media, and I was casted on the show. And I believe they found me because I do a lot of outdoorsy things. And I play games.
What did you do to prepare once you knew you were going to be on?
Well, I actually went on weight gainers. That's one thing I did, so that I wouldn't be too hungry on the island. So I was actually on weight gainers for 2 months.
What is that?
And, for 2 months.
What is it? What's weight gainers?
It's like an intense protein powder. I guess like a lot of weightlifters and stuff, they take it to put on like mass.
Okay.
And so I put on about 13 extra pounds. And I worked out a whole bunch. But, as far as like outdoors things, I've camped a lot. I've gone on, month or 2 months long backpacking trips and things in the past. And I've rock climbed and ice climbed and summited a lot of mountains and stuff. So I figured that, the nature stuff was going to be in line with everything that I really enjoy doing outside of my work.
So what food sources did you find near your camp?
We found coconut. We expected to find pineapple, but apparently there was a storm that came through, which I'm pretty sure everybody is aware of. There was a storm that came through before we were even on the island, which pushed back production a couple of weeks. And that actually wiped out a lot of the food sources that would normally be there. So unfortunately, we didn't find any pineapple. And as Survivor fans know, you get a bag of rice and a bag of beans in the beginning as well.
Give us a short assessment of each of your tribe mates and how you think they're playing the game. Let's start with Adam. How's he doing?
Well, as you can see from the last tribal, Adam is on the bottom at the moment. I think he's perceived as, somebody who's unimportant at the moment. I think he was seen as someone who's voting with me, and we didn't have the numbers that night. And so I think he's seen as a low-level threat at the moment.
What about Figgy? What did you think of her?
Figgy is, the type of person who loves to be in the center of attention. She is loud and outspoken, and she's the type of person that rallies people together in a unquiet fashion. And whether that's good or bad, she's very much out there. Just like how we all know that she's in a love relationship at the moment, or a showmance, I should say. She has nothing to hide, and she's very outspoken.
Hannah?
Hannah is very easily pushed around at the moment, and I see her as my little buddy, regardless of how the votes went. Her vote wasn't the reason why I went home. They had before Hannah's vote. I think that she is being perceived as someone that can be pushed around, just to have votes. So we'll see if she changes her game.
How about Jay?
Jay is very easy to get along with. He seems like a low-level threat because he's like a low-key surfer guy, which is always it's always dangerous because it's the guy that you want to just hang out with, and you think that you're just hanging out with the guy when there's probably other things happening.
What's the scoop on Michaela?
Michaela is very forward. She's very honest. She doesn't hold back about things that are on her mind, and that rubs people in either a really good or bad way. You know, some people like honesty, and some people are really sensitive. And when you're sleep deprived and you're hungry and you're thirsty and the sun's been beating on your face all day, the sensitivity level actually, falls way down. So it can actually, turn in something small can turn into something huge, as you saw in the last episode with people, wielding around machetes.
Is that why Figgy said she was crazy?
Yes. They had a few heated conversations. We got to see one of the bigger ones on TV, but that was certainly not the only one that they had on our island.
How about Michelle? What's going on with her?
Michelle is, and I said this from pregame, that girl, she's a siren. She's a beautiful girl, and she's perceived as non-threatening. But she made a huge move the last episode, and I've got to hand it to her. It was really smart on her part. She knew that Figgy was, her name was on the chopping block, and, in their four-person alliance with Jay, Tay, Figgy, and Michelle, if Figgy goes, the next person on that alliance to go would be Michelle. There's no way that pre-merge the tribe would get rid of their two biggest, their strongest players physically, Jay and Tay. So Michelle really kept Figgy in game to save herself, and the smart gameplay.
Yeah, how about Taylor?
Taylor is, he's like a golden lab puppy. He's just kind of there. He's got puppy love, and, he likes the pretty girls, and he's just there. Taylor's just there.
What about Will?
Young Will. We don't see big moves out of him right so far. He voted against me, which makes me salty because apparently he was a fan of Smosh and Smosh Games, which is the gaming company that I work for. So that's certainly not a good way to perceive fans. But I think as a person who is a huge fan of the show, we might be able to see some big moves coming on.
He said he liked you, but you wouldn't talk strategy with anyone, so he had to cut you loose.
Yeah, which is interesting. I mean, that's a really interesting. And the way the cut goes with episode 2, it really looks like I talked to nobody because I'm in none of those scenes. Yeah, I mean, I know I talked plenty of strategy and was one of the big movers to vote Figgy out at Tribal on that night. Obviously that didn't work, but it's interesting to see that that's the way it was perceived, that I wasn't talking strategy enough. When there's always a very thin line between talking too much strategy and not talking enough, and I guess I was perceived as the not enough category.
And what about Zeke?
Zeke is so charming. I could watch his testimonials all day, every day. And because he's so charming, and I do believe he has a good head on his shoulders, I think he's, I think they should watch out for him. And mustache.
Did you look for a hidden immunity idol or see anyone else looking?
Oh, our tribe was very open about, the immunity, the hidden immunity search, because, we were all looking, to be honest with you, and, we would joke around about it. We're like, okay, well, there's only 2 people here at camp. I guess everyone else is looking for idols, and everybody was. So the paranoia of, somebody already finding it the paranoia level was quite high.
What's next for you?
I'm going to continue doing stuff online and having fun, with the amazing career that I get to have.
Well, Mari, I wanted to share with you that we do a fantasy league and that you were the second most chosen person to win this season.
Yeah, there was a lot of high hopes. And I am so sorry to disappoint so many people. It's the amount of support online is insane. I usually don't go on, the forums and, Reddit especially. I usually steer clear because of the fear of what people might say. But I disliked myself so much the other day that I'm like, you know what, let's just do it. Let's go on there. And I did, and I was humbly surprised. And the amount of people that had me going to the end is just it's really humbling. I really thank everyone's support.
Mari, thank you for sharing with us today, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Did it. Thanks.